Hey, and welcome to the Salamander Society. I'm your host, the Sports Entertainment Salamander, here to talk about Summerslam, my fantasy card, but I'm going to stick close to reality. I'm going to get as close in the middle of fantasy and reality as I can get. So here we go. I'll start with the details for SummerSlam. The location is going to be in Brooklyn, New York. It was announced last year that it would be back in Brooklyn. So it's there, and the time, 7 Eastern, I see it going 4 hours again for the second year in a row, with all the talent that they're going to bring in from NXT and free agency and all the talent that they have coming back from injury. And that's not counting the pre-show, which I'm not going to have anything to do with in this podcast because I can't stand the pre-show. But the brands, both Raw and Smackdown, are going to be on this show. I believe, like most people do, that they're going to have unique pay-per-views for each brand, except for the 4 major pay-per-views. I see them both Raw and SmackDown being on the 4 major pay-per-views, but also having unique pay-per-views throughout the year. Hopefully it's not 2 per month, although I'd be all right with that. But let's quit messing around and get to the card here. The number 1 match is Rusev versus Cesaro for the U.S. title. Rusev is going to retain at Battleground. Rusev and Cesaro will both be drafted to SmackDown, even though on my last podcast of the WWE draft, I said Cesaro would get drafted to Raw, but I take that back now. They're both going to get drafted to SmackDown. And after Battleground, where Rusev puts away Titus O'Neil, they're going to start their feud. This feud will probably be good for both of these individuals. They're both great workers, great performers, and they both match up pretty well. And they can elevate both Rusev, Cesaro, and the title. They can elevate the U.S. title because they're going to have some good matches. So if this happens, which it's a reality that this could happen. It's really close to reality. I see Cesaro winning. Rusev's held the title for a while, but Rusev's not going to go away. But just because he loses the title here, he's not going to go away. Cesaro kind of sneaks by and wins this one, but Rusev's still the monster that he always has been. And moving on to the second match, it's very similar to the first one. Miz versus Baron Corbin. Going to be for the Intercontinental title. I like the way that they're building up Corbin, even though most people say that he's boring and he's got no personality or character to him. But look at his video packages. This was his third one that they've done, and it was really awesome. I really liked it. And he just got done with a feud destroying Dolph Ziggler, a former world champion. Even though Ziggler's not half of what he used to be, he's still a former world champion that Corbin just obliterated in a feud. So Corbin is really built up right now, and Miz, he's just the Intercontinental champion, and he can come out after Battleground with one of his whiny promos. He might have got a black eye or something like that in it, and that's when Corbin comes down and says his usual promo. The end of days for anyone who stands in my way. And he absolutely destroys the Miz right then and there. He takes him all over the arena and just destroys him, leaves him lying. And Corbin, even though it's heel on heel, Corbin is kind of like Ambrose in reverse to me. Ambrose can get away with some heel moves, and he can still be a babyface like he is. I think that Corbin can get away with attacking a heel and stay heel because of his character. He just doesn't care. I mean, there's a title involved, and that's what he's about. And he's kind of like Brock Lesnar in the fact that he's kind of a prize fighter. He wants the prize. His last feud was just beating a world champion. He wanted to beat a former world champion. Now it's becoming a champion, an Intercontinental champion. So that's why it can work. Again, if this happens, I see another title change. Yet another title change, even though they don't have too many usually. Corbin wins in dominant fashion to start this storyline. And don't think by this that The Miz is going to go away. He's not. The Miz is going to stay with him and stay with him and stay with him for a while. And the next match is probably my favorite and the most intriguing of the night that I have wrote down here. And it's a New Day versus Wyatt Family. Non-title match, 3-on-3, 6-man tag. They had a tag title match at Battleground, 2-on-2, with Kofi Kingston and Big E versus Eric Rowan and Braun Strowman. New Day retains, barely catches them with something, maybe that big ending into a Kofi jump thing that they do. Maybe catch them with that, and they barely win. And after a couple minutes of celebrating, the Wyatts leave the New Day lying in a heap. They just destroy them. They completely annihilate them in the middle of the ring at Battleground. And leading up to SummerSlam, Xavier keeps hinting of the danger of the Wyatts. He keeps hinting of how much the New Day is in danger. And the New Day kind of go serious. They kind of go, they all come out and they all jump and clap and have smiles on their faces all the time, but now they just come and walk straight to the ring. No trombone, no anything. Just walk straight to the ring. Then they get to SummerSlam, where the Wyatts are set to face the New Day in a 6-man tag match, where the New Day get the upper hand at first for the first 5 to 8, maybe 10 minutes. They do their unicorn stampede and all of that, and then the Wyatts start to turn. They have a turning point in the match, and they start to systematically take Kofi and Big E at one at a time. I mean, it just so happens that Kofi and Big E are the only ones that keep getting in the match for the New Day. And then they come down to a final sequence. The Wyatts stand face to face with the New Day. Kofi and Big E are kind of huffing, puffing. They're spent, while Xavier's kind of standing there. And that's when Xavier slowly walks towards Bray Wyatt, and when he's directly in front of him, he turns around, faces Kofi and Big E, and falls to his knees and opens his arms, like Bray does. And immediately, Kofi and Big E are surprised. They attack the Wyatts and try to snap Xavier out of it because they believe Bray Wyatt is controlling Xavier's mind. So they attack the Wyatts to try to snap Xavier out of it. But the Wyatts turn around and destroy the New Day and leave them lying again, while Xavier watches from the corner. And in the midst of the chaos, the Wyatts pin the New Day and win the match. And after the match, Xavier faces Bray one more time, and once more falls to his knees, this time facing Bray, and opens his arms. Bray starts his laugh, which I think is awesome and creepy at the same time. He starts his laugh while he opens up his arms while standing. And while the crowd in the background is chanting, he's got the whole world in his hands. Think about that scene right there. Xavier on his knees with his arms open, Bray laughing with his arms open, standing, and in the background the crowd is chanting, he's got the whole world in his hands. And that's when you hear the ending for the Wyatts. That's going to be awesome. And now moving right along to the number 4 match, I'm sorry. Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for the Women's Championship. And Charlotte retains her belt at Battleground. I see it happening with help from Dana Brooke. So naturally, like they always do, Dana is banned from ringside for their SummerSlam match. The match is given time, which if I were in charge, it'd be given 20 to 25 minutes, but probably 15 at the most in reality. And with that time, Sasha and Charlotte go out and tear the house down. They go out and have a great match. There's a tense storyline between them. There's chemistry that we already know of from their NXT matches. And there's tons of amazing spots and false finishes within this match that give it a great match, even close to a 5-star match, even if they are given time. And within the match, both Sasha and Charlotte have tacked on their submissions twice each. And each time, the other competitor fights their way out of it. And Sasha, in the last little bit, Sasha ends up on her back. Charlotte sets her up for the figure 8, and when she's in figure 4 position and about to bridge into the figure 8, Sasha rolls over and forces Charlotte to release because of the reverse pressure. And when Charlotte gets back up, she's kind of dazed, she's stumbling. Sasha backstabs her and cinches in the bank statement. And Charlotte is there for 30 seconds to about a minute even. Maybe fights out of it once, but Sasha rolls back into it. And eventually, Charlotte taps, and Sasha wins the title, and the crowd goes nuts because we all love Sasha Banks, and we all know that it's her time. SummerSlam is her time to win the title. Charlotte's had it for a long, long time. Now on to number 5, Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. This is the rumor, so I'm just going to go with it, and by the time you hear this, it might already be reality. They're about to announce it tomorrow on Smackdown of who it's going to be, and this is the main rumor that it's going to be Randy Orton. So this is what I would do. If Lesnar loses at UFC 200, Randy is going to come out as the heel. He comes out next week on Raw, that's the week after UFC 200, and says Brock's lost his legitimacy. He's no longer the Beast, no longer the Conqueror. He stinks. He's terrible. He's not real. So he goes on and on for a couple weeks until Brock is scheduled to come back, and Brock comes out and interrupts him and just destroys him like Brock always does. And so they finally get to SummerSlam, and Randy has hit him with an RKO 1 week, but most of the weeks Brock has been just coming out and destroying him, or Paul Heyman has just been ripping Randy Orton apart. So we get to SummerSlam, and in their match at the end, they have a great match, and at the end Randy Orton catches him with an RKO out of an F5 and wins. Just imagine that, an RKO out of an F5. We saw him do it sort of when he did it with the Attitude Adjustment back in Hell in a Cell in 2014, I believe, where he countered the Attitude Adjustment into an RKO. So that happens if Brock wins at UFC 200 against Mark Hunt, he comes back and Heyman talks about how he's still the Beast and he just proved his legitimacy by beating Mark Hunt at UFC. And Randy Orton comes out and hits an RKO truly out of nowhere. Just comes out of no music, no anything, just slides behind Brock. Brock turns around right into an RKO. And they trade blows each week, one winning and then the other winning every week, until they get to SummerSlam, where the same exact thing happens. Randy Orton catches Brock Lesnar with an RKO out of an F5, because who wouldn't want to see that? So either way, Brock comes out of this really ticked off, really mad, and it leads to a match at either Hell in a Cell or Survivor Series, which Brock completely destroys Randy Orton like a John Cena SummerSlam 2014. And then the blow-off for it is either going to be at Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. When in that third match is kind of like their SummerSlam match, really even, until the end where Randy Orton again hits him with an RKO out of an F5, but this time Brock kicks out and just obliterates Randy with 5 or 6 German suplexes and a couple of F5s to win. And that's how that feud, I'm just going to go ahead and continue that feud out just because. Number 6 match for SummerSlam going to be Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. We already know this is going to happen at Battleground, but I see this being a last man standing or a falls count anywhere. One of those two. I see one of those stipulations being added. Either way, it'll be a great match. After that Battleground, Sami Zayn wins at Battleground. Kevin Owens just can't put Sami away. And in a long match, in a long and grueling match, Kevin Owens finally wins against Sami Zayn, leaving Sami unsatisfied because he wanted to put Kevin Owens away, but Kevin Owens puts him away so he can move on. And they both go away and pursue other things for a few months before they meet again. Now I have plans for that. So that's kind of an easy match. John Cena versus AJ Styles is going to be number 7. And for the Smackdown title, it could be the World Heavyweight Championship or another named championship, but I just put the Smackdown title. Cena gets his 16th title win over Styles on a Smackdown. They reveal the championship on a live Smackdown, and then like the week after that, they set up a match for Cena versus Styles on a Smackdown to crown the first champion. So Cena wins and gets his 16th title there and ties Ric Flair. And they go into SummerSlam for their rematch, and they have the best match they've had yet. Chemistry flowing through both of them as they go through. And Cena and Styles end up on their back at the end, and that's when the club comes out, like they've done a couple times already. They make their way to the ring, and when they enter, before they touch anybody, Kurt Angle's music hits. Kurt Angle comes out, he runs down, fights off the club, and helps Cena win. And that launches a Angle versus Styles feud. Heading into the Royal Rumble, or I believe the blow-off, the final match for this feud is going to be at WrestleMania. They're going to extend this for a while. So this way, Cena is going to keep the title. It's not going to be a super short reign for Cena, because we know that's not going to happen. And it doesn't bury AJ Styles. It moves him on. He got beat because a future Hall of Famer interfered in their match. So it doesn't bury him, and it puts him on, helps him to move on from Cena to Kurt Angle. And in the main event, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose for the WWE title. At Battleground, Dean Ambrose retains his title. He barely wins, but Roman comes within inches of winning the title for the 4th time, and that's when Triple H comes out to interfere. And his music hits, and he comes out to interfere in that match and keeps Roman from winning. So now we come to SummerSlam, and what's happened in between them then is Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins have kind of been doing their own thing. While whenever Roman gets close to them, he gets close to the title, Triple H shows up and beats up Roman. So they go into the ring at SummerSlam, and they have a great match. And with fast-paced action, high-flying spots for Seth and Dean, and power spots for Roman. And they just have all these spots and stuff, and their chemistry flowing in between them because they were the Shield. They were brothers before this, so they know every move that they can do. They have a great match, and at the end, Roman spears Dean, and it looks like he's going to win. So the crowd's booing, and Triple H immediately comes down and pedigrees Roman just like he had at Battleground. And he's about to walk away. Triple H is about to walk back to the back, and none other than Goldberg comes out. He comes down to the ring, says, "You're next," and then spears Triple H. And then he just walks off. Just walks off while the crowd chants, "Goldberg, Goldberg." So that happens, and Roman starts to recover. He starts to wake up, and then Dean is already woken up. He's already standing tall. So Roman turns around right into a Dirty Deeds, and Dean retains the title. So this is the picture ending SummerSlam. Dean Ambrose standing tall with the title raised above his head. Roman Reigns and Triple H lying in the ring. Seth Rollins laying out of the ring after Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins had a fine spot on an announce table. And Goldberg at the top of the ramp looking back at the ring with a snarl on his face looking at Triple H. So this is what we see after SummerSlam. Cesaro and Rusev feud over the U.S. title. Baron Corbin and The Miz feud over the Intercontinental title. Remnants of the New Day continue to fall victim to the Wyatts and eventually lose their titles. Maybe not to the Wyatts, but to someone else because of the Wyatts. And the New Day falls eventually. Sasha Banks moves on to another competitor. I don't know who yet. Charlotte, she comes out in the Raw after SummerSlam, complains, and Bayley comes out, and they start a feud with Charlotte and Bayley, which I don't think we've ever seen before on the one-on-one feud. So Brock comes out seeking revenge on Randy Orton, and we see how that ends already, as what I said. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they both move on. Sami leaves unsatisfied, while Kevin Owens thinks that he's ended Sami Zayn. Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles feud, and that could be a possible run-in for the American Alpha. They could come and join Kurt Angle, and it could be Team America or whatever, Team USA against the Club, and that could even lead into Finn Balor somehow, but we don't know. And Cena on the Smackdown after SummerSlam comes out, and he's confronted by Kevin Owens, and that starts a feud where Kevin Owens eventually wins his first world title. Roman keeps on for the title on Raw after SummerSlam. He keeps his eyes on the title, but is stopped and interrupted by Bobby Roode, who makes his main roster debut. Triple H versus Goldberg feud, and then finally Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins feud over the WWE title. So that is what SummerSlam looks like in my head, which is crazy and unhinged, but that's how it looks in there. Tell me what you think might happen at SummerSlam. Tell me your ideas for your fantasy card. Like, comment, you can subscribe, you can share, and I'll see you later.